Hey folks, today we'll be doing part 2 of the oil change video that I've been discussing with you guys and I introduced yesterday. Like I promised yesterday, today's more about action than talk. The first step in the process that we start with, obviously, I do have the service panel off, which comes off with the 3 connectors. I don't know if you can see it in the background, there it is. But the next step is to remove the skins, which will also involve, I don't know if you can see them or not, but I have my custom air deflectors from BRP on the outsides for the RS-S. Those are to keep my wife protected when she's riding. And those come off first. Then I'll be taking, you start on the midsection. I will at least allow the side to dangle. There's some things I need to look at there as far as the belt is concerned. I'll be doing the same thing on the other side, but it's basically going to be this panel. This one will be loose. The mirroring panel on the right, the other one will be loose. And then the center tank console with the wrap kit on it and the stickers will fully be removed after these portions are removed. Once we are there, then we move on. So, but the first step is anytime for any services in Can Am world is removing the skins or removing the body panels. I like to call it deskinning the trike. That's all I got for now. The rest will be in time lapse to keep time short, and it might even resort to still photos just to keep things, you know, expeditious in terms of your time. Thank you for watching. Have a great morning. Okay, to be fair, I just want to point out some things from the deskinning process. There are 2 bolts up front. There are 2 quick connectors in the back of the very top tank cowling cover, if you will. The others are done with the T26. The 2 bolts in front are a T26. The Can-Ams all have those backup, you know, things. We're all used to dealing with the clip bolts. I recommend that you do get spares. You noticed it toward the last, I had a little trouble because I have one sealed off or bolted down from last year's services with a locking Nylox nut. And for working with these panels, you know, it's easiest just to get the panels off and out of the way. for the time being, I've decided not to skin the lateral panels for now. I have no reason to be back there. The services that I will do in those sections, I can demonstrate it without having to pull the skins. On this model, I have to pull the bags, the bag mounts, and also go up and underneath and remove the turn signal blinkers. I think that the ones that don't have this extended bracket that you see on the STs and here for the luggage that you see on the tour models, that's part of the bag mount that came from BRP. This is a BRP setup, by the way. You cannot find these for the RS-S or the ST anymore. That just adds a lot of problems to it. They also have a very specialized bolting system. It's a little triangular shaped thing. You actually go after it with a 6mm Allen, I think it is, or 8mm Allen. But they strip out after time. And over all the customizations I've done, I've got one that is starting to fail, and I've got to work with the machinist on getting it remachined with a different type bolt that will still be 6mm Allen that will allow me to keep it. But if I monkey with it too much more, I'm going to cause more destruction. I'm just going to grab the camera shortly. I just want to give you guys a little bit more of a preview and close-up of the motor. You can tell that I do have some items in here that are beyond the stock spectrum. There's my Power Commander 5. I do nestle that in neatly in there. I'm also running a Shindogen type advanced regulator. Gives me a little bit more boost on the power line. Also, here's the JT's Speed Shop air intake. You can tell it's been probably a year and a half since I've gone after that filter. So that's what I'll be going after next in the next time lapse before I go inside. Here you can see the MSD fattened plug wires. Yeah, it snaps off better, it fires quicker, and also you don't hear it on the TV or radio anymore. If you'll notice, I did register an oil leak, and I see where it's having problems. I'm going to have to torque the head, or not the head, but the valve cover gaskets. I do have a class 1 coming from the rear and front, and there has been some slight catches on the floor that you can notice. That tends to happen on any bike, but it's just getting out of control, stuff I got to look into. And if you can look down into here, I'll go in deep. You see where that steering shaft goes way down in there? That's your VSS. That's the stability system. That's what makes your life a living hell. The reason why I'm showing this real quick is I want you to understand is when you're on the road on a RT or RS on earlier models, 08s, 011s, if you lock on this bar, I tend to do it. I'll tend to push on the bar with both hands as a way of pushing myself into the seat, especially when I'm nervous. If you do that, you're sending a negative message to your VSS. And you can actually throw error codes. I've done it. I can demonstrate it in a later video, but I've done it. Keep your hands relaxed and let the VSS do its job, is the moral of that story. It's very much like traction control in a car. You have to trust it, keep a loose grip on the bars, so on and so forth, and don't flex or try to force your bars to go somewhere or force to keep it straight. The bike stability system will help you more than it needs. And if you get into a situation where you're going to drift on an RS-S, unless you have it shut off, your net nanny's going to catch you. So you're never going to go into a drift on this bike. So that's all I got for now. I'm going to move on to another time lapse, and we're going to go ahead and do that real quick before I head in and warm up a little bit. It's a little cool in the shop today, and I just want to go from there. But next we'll be doing the air filter. I am going to go ahead and do a warm up and so on and so forth. What I'm going to be doing is adding a half of a pint of seafoam to my tank oil. Then I have to run the bike until I get 1 to 2 bars on the temp gauge. Then you know it's circulated. The seafoam is a flush that I do every 3 to 4 oil changes. It's never been done on this particular bike, and it's overdue. Being that I'm going to AMSOIL now, I was on Mobil 1 before, but I consider AMSOIL to be a higher grade oil. I do want to run a flush through it, get it all on the same sink, and just generally it's time to flush my block. Something I think that you should do, and seafoam's a good additive to do it. But there's your 998 V-twin and the exhaust system. Later this winter, when things get really boring, I'll be pulling the exhaust system and wrapping that, and we'll be going from there. But this is my baby. This is Charlotte. She's skinned for services now. For those of you who've been wanting to see the alternate intake, there it is. Yeah, it takes about 50 pounds of plastic and shit off your trike. Trust me, I'll show you from the other side. It's pretty cool. You get that lone 12 by, I think it's a 2.5 inch tall filter, and it's 12 inches around. And then you have this, because there's an air control system that, you know, the AIS, if you will, for the emissions. So you do need to filter it. And that just sits in there with the clamp, you know, that's just a little Can Am filter that you do so the AIS can breathe. There are assorted videos on how to remove it or take it down. But I went with this. This is what comes with JT's Speed Shop. This is how you put it in, because he's not real good at instructions. And lastly, there's the other side of the JT Speed Shop filter. But if you're wondering what this guy is for and what he's doing, he's not filtering fuel. That is an air release system that I've engineered by a video, because if you ever noticed on your Can Am RS-S's, they stink. You leave them out in the garage, you go out in the garage and you about tip over from the gas fumes. If you look up this mod, and I can find information on that later, this is a cheap $7 repair that you can do to stop that from happening. And you also get this. The other thing that's annoying about the early model RS-S's is you can never get that fuel gauge to give you that one last little tick on it. You never know if you actually have a completely full tank, even though you've sat there for 20 minutes taking the tank to the top limits. It just doesn't work. This will solve that, because it allows the system to burp up through this and completely fill. It just improves the overall flow of the system, and most importantly, it gets rid of the nag of that idling and sitting, and you go out a week later and your shed is just full of gas odor. That's what's causing it. This is the fuel filter, cheap fuel filter Google mod that you can look up if you look it up. And then lastly, on the bottom of the seat, I did want to show you that I don't bother to reclip my shock for the seat. I leave it unclipped, because that clip on the Can Am is a bear, and I've cut myself 5 times doing it. Here's the base of the system for my armrest, for you guys that are creative and like to engineer. That's the secret to it, and that's the design, but I'm not going to talk much about that. But as you can see, this is the ISCI arms. There is my ultimate seat and my shad bag. Give you a little bit more of a close look up at it. I will be moving these. I just set those out of the way so I could have room to make the film. All I got for this one, and appreciate your time. This one's gonna be a little longer. Peace. Okay, folks, just a quick update. If you notice a little bit of difference, I did end up dropping the saddlebag. I do forget that in order to be able to complete the oil change, you have to be able to peel back the lower black ABS plastic near the board, and well, most of you will have your foot pegs there. But that's got to be peeled out of the way. If you've got a shifter in the way, you'll have to contend with that. But it looks like the shifter is kind of cut out. But either way, what I've done is I've taken the mount, the bolt, the 2 top mounts for the side piece, and then I've removed the saddlebag and the saddlebag mount itself. I also dropped, if you notice, those of us that work on these notice that this is that pan cover for, or the panel cover for underneath or you know, above the tire. That's got to be dropped as well. You basically just loosen this, then you can get in behind it and get the 2 bolts that you require to loosen to be able to do your peeling. And once that's done, you just lift slightly and peel back, and then you have access to your filter changes and all the room that you need to do. I'll have a lot more room to peel as soon as I remove that footboard. So, and I'll be going back into time-lapse mode and taking it from there. Thanks for your patience. Bye.